The distress beacon had been silent for 3 cycles when Captain Arya Voss found the pod drifting through the Kashari belt. Standard protocol demanded she ignore unregistered vessels, especially this deep in predator territory, but something about the faint biosignature made her pause. Small, weakening, alone. She should have kept flying. The pod's hull bore scorch marks from plasma fire, and when Arya forced the hatch open, she found him. A Kashari cub no larger than a human child, his obsidian scales dulled with dehydration, his triple-lidded eyes struggling to focus. The Kashari were apex predators, feared across 7 sectors for their ruthlessness in battle. They took no prisoners, showed no mercy, and taught their young to kill before they could speak. This one was dying. Arya's hands moved before her mind could object. Pulling the cub from the wreckage and into her ship's medbay, she worked through the night, translating Kashari physiology from her database, improvising treatments with whatever supplies she had. When the cub's breathing finally steadied, she collapsed into her captain's chair, exhausted. She named him Tern, because he reminded her of a stubborn weed that grew on Earth, something that refused to die no matter how harsh the conditions. The first weeks were chaos. Tern was feral, snapping at her with needle-sharp teeth, his claws leaving scratches across her arms whenever she came close. But Arya had lost too much already. Her crew, her ship, her entire squadron to a Kashari ambush 2 years prior. She couldn't lose this one life she'd managed to save, so she persisted. She learned his clicks and growls, taught him human words, and slowly, impossibly, he began to trust her. When nightmares plagued him, he would curl against her side, his scales warming under her touch. When hunger made him irritable, she would hunt through asteroid fields for the silicon-based organisms his species craved. "You're going to get me killed," she would tell him, running her fingers over his head crests. He would chirp in response, a sound she'd learned meant contentment. Months passed. Tern grew larger, his juvenile scales hardening into proper armor, his hunting instincts sharpening. But something had changed in him, something that should not have been possible for a Kashari. He brought her gifts. Strange crystalline formations from asteroids, metals he'd melted into crude shapes with his breath. He learned to read her emotions, to gentle his strength when they sparred, to wait for her approval before feeding. The Kashari fleet found them on the edge of the Veritas system. Arya had known this day would come. She'd prepared for it, trained Tern for it, though her heart screamed against the inevitability. When the massive war dreadnought surrounded her small vessel, she did not run. She transmitted Tern's genetic marker and waited. They boarded her ship with weapons drawn, 12 Kashari warriors, each standing over 7 feet tall, their scales gleaming like polished obsidian in the harsh light. Their leader, a scarred female with crests marked by battle honors, stared at Arya with eyes that held centuries of war. "You are the human who stole our young," she growled, her voice like grinding stone. "I am the human who saved him," Arya replied, standing her ground even as fear threatened to buckle her knees. Tern pushed forward, placing himself between Arya and the warriors. He was still small by their standards, but his posture held no submission. He spoke in rapid Kashari, his clicks and growls carrying an urgency that made the warriors shift uncomfortably. The scarred leader tilted her head. "Impossible. What is?" Arya asked. "He claims you as Keshmarthal, mother of war. He says you taught him to hunt, to fight, to survive. He says—" She paused, something like wonder crossing her predatory features. "He says you taught him honor." Arya's breath caught. "I taught him to be kind. The same thing. For us." The leader approached slowly, studying Arya with new intensity. "You are aware of what you've done, human? I saved a child. You raised a Kashari. You bonded with predator young. In our culture there is no higher act. You have become what we call Sharveth, the bond mother, and by our oldest laws any who harm you will face the wrath of every Kashari who draws breath." The implications crashed over Arya like a wave. "I don't understand." The scarred warrior knelt, bringing herself to eye level with the human captain. "My people have been at war for generations. We have conquered, destroyed, taken what we needed without thought. But you, a single human from a species we considered weak, you showed mercy to our most vulnerable. You broke our expectations of what is possible." She gestured to Tern, who stood proud and protective. "This cub should be feral, mindless, driven only by instinct. Instead, he shows tactical thinking, emotional control, and loyalty beyond pack bonding. You have proven that Kashari can be more than we believed. What happens now? Arya asked quietly. Now? The warrior stood, her scarred face splitting into what might have been a smile. Now you return with us. The matriarch will want to meet the human who has given us a new future, and Tern will take his place among our war packs, carrying with him everything you taught him. Arya felt Tern's clawed hand slip into hers, a gesture he'd learned from watching human holovids. Will I see him again? Captain Voss, you are Sharveth. You will see him always. You are now Pack. 3 years later, Captain Arya Voss stood on the bridge of a Kashari dreadnought, watching human and Kashari ships fly side by side for the first time in history. Tern commanded his own squadron now, each warrior trained in the ways she had taught him. Strength tempered with mercy, power guided by wisdom. The galaxy had called her the mother of war. But Arya knew the truth. She had simply refused to let one small life end in the darkness. Sometimes the most powerful act of humanity was refusing to look away. And sometimes saving one life could save entire civilizations.